Alright, guys. Hey, we are going to be finishing up Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone today. So, thank you all for anyone who's been watching this insanity since, it started back in August? No, it might have even been earlier than that. But anyway, we're going to finish this up. I'm going to leave comments open. I already know the next book I'm going to do, because I'm just going to do this line. But anyway, here we go. Last time we left them, Harry had just gotten out of the hospital wing. Ron and Hermione had come to visit. Hagrid came to visit. Hagrid gave him a really cool picture book, or not a picture book, but like a scrapbook thing that had pictures of his parents. So now they're at the end of term feast. They're about to award the House Cup. So here we go. Now, as I understand it, the House Cup here needs awarding, and the points stand thus. In fourth place, Gryffindor with 312 points. In third, Hufflepuff with 352. Ravenclaw has 426, and Slytherin has 472. A storming cheer and stamping broke out from the Slytherin table. Harry could see Draco Malfoy banging his goblet on the table. It was a sickening sight. How dare he be happy? I don't want you to be happy. I lost. Yes, well done, Slytherin. He's so dismissive, said Dumbledore. However, recent events must be taken into account. The room went still. The Slytherin smiles faded a little. Ahem. I have a few last-minute points to dish out. Let's see. Yes, first, to Ronald Weasley. Ron's face went purple, and he looked like a radish with a bad sunburn. For the best played game of chess Hogwarts has ever seen in many years, I award Gryffindor House 50 points. Gryffindor cheers nearly raised the bewitched ceiling. The stars overhead seemed to quiver. Percy could be heard telling the other prefects, my brother, my youngest brother, got past McGonagall's giant chess set. So again, that brings up the question, what was the fake story given, as to why they went down there, why they went and did this? Because obviously Dumbledore can't tell them, Voldemort almost came back, but thankfully Harry Potter got down there. I don't know. Again, at last, there was silence. Second, to Miss Hermione Granger, for the use of cruel logic in the face of fire, I award Gryffindor House 50 points. Hermione buried her face in her arms. Harry strongly suspected she had burst into tears. Gryffindors up and down the table were beside themselves. They were 100 points up. Third, to Mr. Harry Potter, said Dumbledore. The room went deadly quiet. For pure nerve and outstanding courage, I award Gryffindor House 60 points. The din was deafening. Those who could add up while yelling themselves hoarse knew that Gryffindor now had 472 points, exactly the same as Slytherin. They had just tied for the House Cup. If only Dumbledore had given Harry just one more point. Dumbledore raised his hand. The room gradually fell silent. There are all kinds of courage, said Dumbledore, smiling. It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies, but just as much to stand up to our friends. I, therefore, award 10 points to Mr. Neville Longbottom. Okay, I understand Neville didn't go through anything that the others did, but poor Neville, he only got 10 points. The others got 50, 60, 10. I feel bad for Neville, that's all. Someone standing outside the Great Hall might as well have thought there was some sort of explosion. So loud was the noise that erupted from the Gryffindor table. Harry, Ron, and Hermione stood up to yell and cheer as Neville, white with shock, disappeared under a pile of people hugging him. He had never won so much as a point for Gryffindor before. Harry, still cheering, nudged Ron in the ribs and pointed to Malfoy, who couldn't have looked more stunned and horrified if he had just had the body bind curse put on him. Which means, Dumbledore called over the sea of applause, for even Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff were celebrating the downfall of Slytherin. We need a little change of decoration. He clapped his hands. In an instant, the green hangings became scarlet and the silver became gold. The huge Slytherin serpent vanished and a towering Gryffindor lion took its place. Professor Snape was shaking McGonagall's hand. Oh, that's weird. It says Snape was shaking Professor McGonagall's pan, not Professor Snape and Professor McGonagall. With a horrible forced smile, he caught Harry's eye, and Harry knew at once that Snape's feelings towards him hadn't changed one jot. This didn't worry Harry. It seemed as though life will be back to normal next year, or as normal as ever was at Hogwarts. I love how, even in just this school year alone, Harry's like, nothing's normal here. I mean, outside of the magic and everything, nothing's normal. It was the best evening of Harry's life, better than winning at Quidditch or Christmas or knocking out mountain trolls. He would never, ever forget tonight. Harry had almost forgotten that the exam results were still to come, but they did. To their great surprise, both he and Ron passed with good marks. Hermione, of course, had the best grades of all the first years. Even Neville scraped through, his good herbology mark making up for his abysmal potions one. They had hoped that Goyle, who was almost as stupid as he was mean, might be thrown out, but he had passed too. It was a shame. But, as Ron said, you couldn't have everything in life. So that's interesting. So, if you fail your exam, you get kicked out of Hogwarts. So, like, what does that mean? What if, like, you were a terrible wizard and, like, you couldn't pass the exams and, like, do they just send you off into the world? Like, what happens? And suddenly their wardrobes were empty, their trunks were packed, Neville's toad was found lurking in a corner in the toilets, notes were handed out to all students, warning them not to use magic over the holidays. I always hope they forget to give us these, said Fred Weasley sadly. Hagrid was there to take them down to the fleet of boats that sailed across the lake. They were boarding the Hogwarts Express, talking and laughing as countrysides became greenier and tidier, eating Bertie Bott's every flavor beans as they sped past Muggle towns, pulling off their wizard's robes and putting on jackets and coats, pulling into platform 9 3/4 and King's Cross Station. It took quite a while for them to get off the platform. A wizened old guard was up by the ticket barrier, letting them go through the gate in 2s and 3s, so they didn't attract attention by bursting out of a solid wall at once and alarming the Muggles. Could you imagine that? Like, you're just strolling down the platform, you got your little suitcase, you got your hot coffee, and you're going past platforms 9 and 10, and all of a sudden, this herd of, like, children just, like, rush out and knock you over. You must come and stay this summer, said Ron. Both of you. I'll send you an owl. Thanks, said Harry. I'll need something to look forward to. People jostled them as they moved toward the gateway back to the Muggle world. Some of them called, "Bye, Harry! See ya, Potter!" "Still famous," said Ron, grinning at him. "Not where I'm going, I promise you," said Harry. He, Ron, and Hermione passed through the gateway together. "There he is, Mom! There he is! Look!" It was Ginny Weasley, Ron's younger sister, but she wasn't pointing at Ron. "Harry Potter! Look, Mom! I can see—" "Be quiet, Ginny, and it's rude to point." Mrs. Weasley smiled down at them. "Busy here?" she said. "Very," said Harry. "Thanks for the fudge and the sweater, Mrs. Weasley." "Oh, it was nothing, dear." "Ready, are you?" It was Uncle Vernon, still purple-faced, still mustached, still looking furious at the nerve of Harry, carrying an owl cage in the station full of ordinary people. Behind them stood Aunt Petunia and Dudley, looking terrified at the very sight of Harry. "You must be Harry's family," said Mrs. Weasley. "In a manner of speaking," said Uncle Vernon. "Hurry up, boy, we haven't got all day." He walked away. Harry hung back for a last word with Ron and Hermione. "See you over summer, then." "Hope you, have a good holiday," said Hermione, looking uncertainly after Uncle Vernon, shocked that anyone could be so unpleasant. "Oh, I will," said Harry. And they were surprised at the grin that was spreading over his face. "They don't know we're not allowed to use magic outside of school. I'm going to have a lot of fun with Dudley this summer." And that's it, guys. Harry Potter, the first book, is done and over with. When we come back on in January, I'll be continuing through and we'll be reading Chamber of Secrets. So thanks for sticking around. I'll turn the comments on for whatever reason other than, I guess, to have comments on. See ya.